the runways of Paris Fashion Week. Walking here can be seen as the pinnacle of a modeling career, but France wants to ensure that's not achieved at the expense of models' health.
France recently passed 2 laws that ban models under a certain body mass index, or BMI. BMI is a measure of body fat based on height and weight.
Models in the fashion industry have to provide proof, a doctor's note, that proves that they are not too skinny and healthy enough to model. Another part of the law indicates that they have to label any type of image that's been photoshopped in any way.
Agency officials found violating the guidelines could be subject to a fine of more than $80,000 and 6 months in jail. Other countries like Spain, Italy, and Israel have also enforced laws to counteract the glorification of extremely thin physiques in the fashion industry.
So recently I saw an article on Allure about how in France they banned underweight models. This underweight model ban aims to reduce the instances of eating disorders within the fashion industry by imposing widespread health standards. In order to work, models must provide employers with a certificate of health issued by a doctor. And the employers who fail to comply with the law by hiring models without that doctor's note may face up to $82,000 in fines and 6 months in jail. The bill uses BMI as a guideline, specifically models who fell into a range deemed healthy, which is like 18 through 24, could work. In addition to reducing eating disorders within the fashion industry, the bill seeks to limit the promotion of unrealistic images in the general media. As the Minister of Social Affairs and Health said in a statement, exposing young people to normative and unrealistic images of bodies leads to a sense of self-depreciation and poor self-esteem that can impact health-related behavior. Now, I'm not even gonna lie, my knee-jerk reaction to this was, you know what, I actually get this and agree with it. Having underweight models on the front of magazines and walking in fashion shows is absolutely unacceptable. And I truly believed that young, impressionable people could be greatly negatively impacted by that.
I went to meet with the agency and they measured me and they told me that I needed to lose, I think it was like 2 inches off my hips and maybe 2 off my waist. I was a perfectionist, so I associated doing a good job with modeling with losing the weight. So I did. And it started out as just being more mindful, I guess. And then it did escalate and escalate and escalate. My lowest weight was 98 pounds when I was 17. And that was after I had just done a very successful season in Paris.
And then bug the question, do fat models glorify obesity? Should morbidly obese models be banned then? When I asked myself this question, I completely rethought the ban on bodies. I think regulating model size is a difficult idea to even agree with. I mean, how can you justify it? You may argue that only having skinny models causes harm to society through eating disorders and poor self-image, and maybe it does. But so does television, magazines, literature, art, and the way society views beauty. Should all these things be regulated too? If you didn't allow skinny models, we could theoretically have a situation where naturally skinny girls are desperate to put on weight in order to fit this new required code. Could this not also lead to similar images and health problems? And this is another form of manipulation of ideals. Sure, it might sound far-fetched, but once you start making solid rules for things such as size of models, it's very hard to control where it stops and what effects it could cause. Who decides what is the right size? Who decides what the fuck is healthy, natural, or ordinary? These type of generalizations will open the law up to opinion and bias. By regulating model size, you are expanding the power of the law to cover ambiguous and contentious issues. In a society that doesn't require you to wear a helmet on a bike, it's a bit of a jump to regulate the body fat percentage of girls who walk down catwalks. Furthermore, Looking at this problem in the eyes of a fashion person, the problem presents itself when the clothes for catwalk shows are constructed prior to model fittings, which usually happen at the very last minute. So for fashion houses, it's very uneconomical to start making clothes to fit individual models. And you have to realize that this is ridiculous. The fact that women are altering their bodies to fit fashion rather than cutting fashion to fit their bodies.
There was one casting in London. I was 17. I remember walking into the room full of people, and the designer gave me this bodysuit to put on. There was no changing room. She made me just get naked. And she took one look at my body and kind of snickered and laughed, said, "That's not going to work."
Obviously, the best solution would be to represent a variety of female sizes on the catwalks. But if fashion houses say this is too much and too difficult in the time frame, surely the next best solution would be to have a healthy size 10 through 12 standard models versus the current size 0 norm. In conclusion, the trillion-dollar fashion and beauty markets rely heavily on peddling unrealistic end result images to the average man or woman. If I attempted to sell you a pill that would help you lose 5 pounds, lose 1 wrinkle, and give you an extra few minutes of energy a day, would you fucking buy that pill? You are more likely to buy the pill sold by a company that promises you to lose 40 pounds in a month, have the stamina of an 18-year-old, grow an extra 5 fucking inches on your dick. And the commercial will be full of buff, sculpted, attractive men and women claiming to have the most success with this regime. The 5'10", stick-thin woman is a very rare body type worldwide, and that is why the fashion industry puts these women on stage. This marketing campaign is basically and essentially trying to sell a dream. More specifically, the market targets girls' insecurities to push them to spend massive amounts of money to achieve this unrealistic image. However, despite the harm that this can cause, banning bodies is not the answer. A more suitable answer would be to have a variety of models displayed on catwalks and magazines. Okay, y'all, that's all I had to say about this topic. I'm very curious to see what you guys' opinions are on this skinny ban. Do you guys agree with it? Do you disagree with it? If you disagree with it, what do you think are some ways that we can help resolve this problem of unrealistic images? Like and subscribe, and see you next week.